It's broke, don't need a 4-heater, but you can 4 feet approach me. I'm summoning focus of Gogeta. Slight work, so imagine me chilling when folks meet up, cause my.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So there has been a lot of controversy surrounding the Matt Cardona Nick Gage finish at GCW Homecoming, where Matt Cardona won the GCW World Title. Essentially, what happened is that people were not happy with the response of the fans and the people throwing garbage in the ring after the match. So we're going to go through, we're going to look at some of this stuff here, and we're going to see where we come out on the other end. Now, when I did my review, I said that it was great. That, you know, it felt genuine, it felt authentic. People were throwing stuff. You know, it was beer bottles in the ring, beer cans in the ring, garbage of all types, trash and things. And then I listened to what Matt Cardona says. And I was illuminated by certain things. Now, there's going to be 2 different pieces to this. There's going to be some audio, and we'll play from Matt Cardona from Busted Open Radio. I'm also going to read something that he said, because the thing that I read is actually what changed my mind. And I have to say that on this issue, I'm going to have to agree with Dave Meltzer. Okay, but I'm only going to agree to a point, to a limit. But first, let's get to what Matt Cardona, he actually experienced being in the ring as people threw trash.
So,
yeah,
I think
that's what I'm saying. It's 2021, right? We all know the deal. But to get that kind of reaction, I mean, listen, there's been similar reactions before, but I personally have never seen anything like that. Or I've never been a part or in the building as a fan, as a wrestler, never. So for me, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Does that mean, like, it's, you know, do I wish that, you know, the fans would have shown me a little more respect? Cool. Do I wish someone wouldn't have thrown a pizza cutter? Cool. But, man.
Somebody threw a pizza cutter. Somebody threw a dangerous object at this man. Look, I know bottles are dangerous. I get that part. But this is insane. Somebody threw a pizza cutter at this man. They threw a weapon at him. And that wasn't even the end of it. I'm sorry. That wasn't even the end of it. This is what really changed my opinion of this whole ordeal. This is from the same interview where he talks about the next level. He says, the people wanted me to die there. I was getting tweets that the people wanted me to die. They wanted Nick to kill Chelsea. There were human beings typing this on their phone or their computer. What the hell is wrong with these people? Then when I won, they were just throwing bottles, full bottles. Someone threw a fucking pizza cutter. I tried to enjoy it, but I was genuinely concerned. Like, this isn't stopping. This isn't NWO over the top, and I'm going to stand there and smile. I didn't know what was going to be thrown. I had no ideas, but I was in there for as long as I could. I tried to get out, tried to get the money shot with the title, and then GCW security were like, yo, we got to go. Have to go out the front, run out the front. They brought me out, and the fans were chasing me through the Showboat Casino. It was wild. The death threats is what changed my mind. The death threats. That's what changed my mind. Now, I'm okay with people getting a little out of hand. You know, that's part of the whole carny part of the business. You know, so, but the death threats is what changed my mind. I definitely was not feeling that. So, the real controversy came from Dave Meltzer. So Dave Meltzer, wrestling aficionado Dave Meltzer, says about the reaction to the crowd. I'm sure people will say their lame excuses for it, or say how great the heat was, but this crowd reaction was such bullshit and such an embarrassment to the industry. What followed, because GCW does a Saturday show and a Sunday show, and Cardona and Gage was on the Saturday show, there was a Sunday show. This led GCW to print T-shirts with this tweet on it. To mock Dave Meltzer. They printed a T-shirt with his tweet on it. sold the T-shirts to troll him. Then, throughout the show, their fans chanted "fuck Dave Meltzer" throughout the show. I didn't watch the show, GCW sucks, but I did get clips of people chanting "fuck Dave Meltzer." And while it was music to my ears, and at the time I didn't know any better, because I thought they were just throwing cans and shit. I didn't know they were throwing dangerous items and that he was getting death threats. I had no idea. Brett Lauderdale, the owner and operator of GCW, then tweeted out at Dave Meltzer, "Let the record show that this weekend GCW successfully worked the smartest mark of them all. I'm sorry, Dave Meltzer. There were no plants, and what you saw was 100% authentic. You're in denial and out of touch, and you're embarrassing yourself." So Dave Meltzer has hit the sort of the beehive on these guys, on this subsection of the wrestling community that he doesn't really even like and I hate, which is death matches. To add a little bit of color to this thing, I saw videos Chelsea Green posted of Matt still bleeding in hotel room. Basically, she was stitching him up because he was still bleeding days afterwards. I think it was the next day. It might have been the next day. But he had just gotten out of bed and the white sheets were dark red. And there was all types of, different creams and tapes and all kind of shit. And that's the stuff that he put himself through. And they were threatening to kill him. So we know in history that fans get out of control. And that usually a lot of the shoot interviews, a lot of wrestlers laugh at how out of control the fans were. How much they got fans worked up. Like, you got them. You feel like you got them. There's this famous CM Punk moment from his DVD where he talks about being a straight edge savior and him working this old lady to a froth. And he was like, "Got her. I got her." Like he was just excited that she was so angry. She was ready to jump the rail. And wrestlers live for that stuff. So they kind of get off on it. They talk a lot about it. I've heard the story of Blackjack Mulligan getting stabbed. I believe it was over him messing around with Pedro Morales, I think it was, or was it Bruno? I forget which one. But he got stabbed. And there's stories, of course, of Roddy Piper getting stabbed. And various other wrestlers getting stabbed or attacked by fans and things like that. And these kinds of actions, they make for great shoot interviews and great stories, but they're completely animalistic. It's completely stupid. It's dumb to put yourself in that position. GCW likens itself to ECW to the point where there are no guardrails between the wrestlers and the fans. I don't think there's any chairs. So, I didn't see any chairs every time I watch GCW, people are standing up the whole show. So I don't know if there's even chairs in the building, except for the ones that people hit each other with. But they try to cultivate that audience. And of course, I likened the Cardona Gage match to Rob Van Dam and Cena, with the exception of Rob Van Dam and Cena sent the crowd home happy. And Rob Van Dam won. This is what happens, if Cardona wins, we riot, and then they decided to riot. They decided to throw shit, and they probably didn't tear the building up, but they likely threw everything, And ECW will cultivate those type of insane crowds too. There's that, but there was that one famous scene of Terry Funk telling people to throw the chairs in the ring, and people started launching their chairs into the ring, and that's the ring was full of chairs. A complete fire hazard, and people were pissed, and a lot of stuff happened. And those are the same kind of fans that they're cultivating at Game Changer Wrestling. These people are not the most sane. At the same time, they're the smartest of the smart marks, because the only way to follow this shit is to be online. It has no street team that could, there's no TV show. You have to actually be online to follow it. You have to be the kind of person that knows who Dave Meltzer is in order to follow that product. So you have to ask the question, like, how could that reaction get so far out of hand? And we've, there's, of course, these old stories. Perhaps One of the most famous ones is the disputed story from Sergeant Slaughter that, he had gotten so much heat that he was getting death threats. And that's why they had to remove WrestleMania 6. Not WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 7. They had to move the facilities because they were getting bomb threats. That was, of course, is disputed by Meltzer and everything. I don't know how they could dispute it. In any event, that is, what we're told. There's been numerous, the Iron Sheik has talked extensively about, during the Iran-Contra days, how he was getting so much heat in the Madison Square Garden in New York. And they had to sneak him out of the building in ambulances. And because people were trying to get at him. We've heard all of these stories before. And this is a modern version of that. Like, it's not that dangerous where people are trying to get into the ring. Like, nobody tried to get into the ring and get after Matt Cardona. But they just tried to make his life hell for a couple of minutes. And this guy getting pelted with glass bottles. And people throwing really, really dangerous things. Full bottles and beer cans and everything. That's not cool. It's funny. And if it's authentic, it works. I'm okay with it as long as it's, relatively painless and relatively, if it's not too bad. Like, for instance, when WCW, when the NWO was formed and people were throwing trash in the ring, it wasn't that bad. It was people throwing Pepsis and they were in paper cups. It wasn't glass beer bottles. It was not like when Shawn Michaels got hit in the head with a D battery. That was nuts. That could have killed him. Somebody is throwing soft drinks. Somebody, like, there's, of course, videos of Shawn walking to the ring. I believe it was in, was it One Night Only? Somebody threw a whole Pepsi in his face. Like, yeah, people do crazy shit. And that kind of stuff is funny because it's not going to kill them. It's not going to hurt them. But when you're throwing pizza cutters, you're sending death threats, you're out of your fucking mind. Now, just for some color, I knew that Bischoff had dealt with this a little bit because the NWO had courted this kind of heat before with getting people to throw shit in the ring. And this is from 83 Weeks. And it's actually from August of 2020. But this is what he had to say about people throwing shit in the ring during Nitro. He says, "We didn't encourage it, but we loved it. With a small handful of exceptions, there were some people, especially when things got really hot. When people started throwing quarters from the cheap seats, the no sale, that just made it better. That just encouraged people to do it more because they wanted to be like the ones to get your attention. It was kind of fun. I enjoyed that when it happened. Sound weird, doesn't it?" Now, it says here that Bischoff and Conrad both agree that you can't do that today. That it was a different world back then when people were throwing stuff. And I think I agree. And you know what? When I was sitting back saying that it was a great thing that I saw and I thought it was cool and I thought it was funny because it was a genuine reaction. I'm always for genuine reactions, even if it's an overreaction. At least it's genuine. At least people really feel something about this shit that everybody knows is bullshit now. It's always refreshing to see people have a real reaction. But at the same time, man, I don't want anybody to get a concussion. I don't want anybody to feel like, because once you start throwing beer bottles, man, you start going into, I hate to make it political, you start going into Antifa type of stuff where people are going to start filling these things with concrete. They're going to start throwing like gas or something like that. Like, you don't want that. You don't want people to escalate. It's one thing for people to say fuck you and be spitting at you and, slinging ice at you or slinging Pepsi. But when you have a place that's selling beer and, nah, you don't want that, man. You don't want that at all because these guys will throw anything at you. They'll try to fight you. You had people chasing this guy. There was no security. There was no barricades or nothing like that. It was uncool. It was uncool. It wasn't fun. And I have to take back what I said. And I'm not completely agreeing with Dave Meltzer. I think that an authentic reaction of people throwing shit is a good thing. It shows that people still are invested in wrestling. But people throwing dangerous objects like glass bottles that could have busted him in the head and really, really hurt him and put his eyeballs out or something like that. People throwing pizza cutters, people trying to kill his fiance. No, that's not good. That's bullshit. And we do need to do better than that. And I'm man enough to say that I thought it was funny and I thought it was cool. But after learning more about it, I have to back off of it. I don't think it's particularly funny and particularly cool. Because it's not the same thing as WCW. I'm pretty sure WCW, they had beer, but they didn't have bottles of beer. They probably had a can. They probably had a cup. But these people had bottles. They had other types of weapons that were in the building that likely they brought because the wrestlers used them. And they were throwing them at him. They were giving death threats to his girlfriend. It's like, no way. I can't deal with that. I'm not going to abide by that, dog. So I got to back off of it. Got to give Meltzer his props on this. Now, while I enjoyed it in the moment, and I thought it was authentic, and I enjoy the authentic reactions people get, I cannot abide by the death threats and the unnecessary amounts of heat that he got. It's just, especially among people who already know how this business is, especially amongst those people. It's been one thing if they're bumpkins who nobody knows that, it's not real. If it was 1978 or something like that, it would make more sense. But in 2021, it's completely uncalled for. And I have to retract my statement. I don't think it was cool. It's not cool to try to kill his wife because he beats your favorite wrestler in a match. It's not cool. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleazy guys